Hi, I am Michael Allison, the developer of the Play Zone, which is my application of polyvagal theory to health and wellness and resilience and performance. But I'm often asked, what really is polyvagal theory? And simply put, polyvagal theory to me, it's a neurophysiological map. It's a map for how our body reflexively, autonomically, subconsciously reacts and responds to our environment. And that environment is not just our external environment through the sensory information, the smells, the sounds, the tastes, the touches. It's also our internal environment, how our bodily organs are working and our systems. We're getting that constant information back subconsciously. And then also there's a third place, and it's the really most important place, relationally. That relational environment, the interactions we're having with others. Are we exchanging warmth and welcome and friendliness, or are we sensing danger, risk, uncertainty, anger? So polyvagal theory provides me with this map that tells me, it gives me a predictable pattern of how my body responds when the features around me and within me and relationally are safe, are trusting, are calm and comforting. And at the same time, it allows me to see the predictable pattern of bodily responses I will have when the environment is unsafe, when it's threatening, when I'm interacting with someone who, for whatever reason, is sending me cues of warning, of uncertainty, of danger. So that's what polyvagal theory does. It explains the underlying neuroanatomy, the biology, the neurophysiology for how we are at every moment subconsciously reacting and responding to the environment. Again, internal, external, and relational. And the beauty of it is once we really understand how our body is shifting reflexively, we can now begin to meet our body where it is. We can allow ourselves to build awareness of how our body is shifting and changing, changes in our heart rate, our breathing, our muscle tension, our posture. If we're talking, changes in our voice, the intonation and modulations of our voice, changes in our breathing. Also at the same time, noticing that thoughts and emotions are often arising out of those changes in our physiology. So these changes are occurring subconsciously and reflexively, and then out of that often we'll have a thought. And it might be self-destructive, or it might be wonderful. Or we'll have an emotion. It might be anger and aggression, or it might be joy, love, care. So that's what's really nice about polyvagal theory too, is there's an underlying neurophysiology beneath most of our thoughts and our emotions, and ultimately our actions and our reactions and our behaviors. And so when our behaviors don't align with our intentions, or when our actions don't actually support our values and our goals, instead of beating ourselves up over that, we can look at what was underneath. What were we feeling threatened by? Were we in a physiology that wasn't capable of supporting our intentions, our potential, our values, our goals, what's really important to us? And if so, how can we then meet our body where it is and help our body, help ourselves to find and to feel and ultimately to absorb what is safe and available in the moment? Or how can we engage with someone and really allow ourselves to recognize and to feel their warmth, their welcome, if it's there? So that also is what polyvagal theory is. It tells us that sociality, social engagement, social bonding promotes our health, promotes our well-being. It promotes our performance. It promotes a sense of belonging. And when we have that sense of belonging, when we have a healthy body, when we feel safe and connected, at the same time, now we can broadcast that. We can extend that to another. We can meet another and exchange cues of safety and connection, which will then continue to feed back into a loop of more health and more resilience and more wellness and a higher quality of life and performance. So that's what polyvagal theory is. It's a map that helps us understand how, as mammals, social mammals, we respond not only reflexively to danger and threat like a reptile, but we also will respond to warmth and welcome and safety coming from another. There's one more part to polyvagal theory that I think is really important to emphasize, and that is that our physiological state, that is being autonomically, subconsciously regulated, like we just talked about, and it's responding to the environment, internal, external, and relational. How our physiological state is in this very moment influences how we experience the world. It impacts how we interact with others. It biases how we feel about ourselves, how we feel in this moment. So that's what's also really important. So not only is it a map, but it's also a way of relating to how we are experiencing and interacting and feeling about ourselves, about our sense of belonging, about our interactions. So it's really, really fundamental. So it's a map and it's a foundation. And that's what it means to me. And so it gives me a clearer picture of this subconscious reflexive reactions, and at the same time it helps me then to not lock into a story, to not just hone on to a belief that I have when I recognize that my body, for whatever reason, is under threat. So when I'm in a threat physiology, whether that's a mobilized, angry and aggressive, or a mobilized, anxious and unsettled, or when I'm beginning to collapse and shut down, I'm just completely tapped out and I'm feeling helpless or lonely or just detached and disconnected, I don't believe those stories. So I don't lock in to the narratives that I'm hearing in my own head when I can recognize that I'm under threat for whatever reason. And that is really, really helpful, because then I don't get trapped into making associations that stick, right? Or if I have associations from my past, if I have some labels that I'm still living behind or beneath, I can get those bodily feelings going and recognize, ooh, here comes that story, here comes that belief. And instead of latching on to that, I can just let the bodily feeling play out. So that is super, super helpful, super healing, enables a ton of growth, and that is part of what I wanted to share with you. So it's not only a map, it's not only a foundation, but it's a pathway to growth, to healing, to changing how we relate to our own experiences, and to recognize and respect that how our body is feeling subconsciously, which we can become aware of, impacts everything, right? It biases our own experience of this world. So I wanted to follow up and finish with that, because that's really important.